Well, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. It is about 8 p.m. Eastern Time here. It is Monday, August the 4th, 2014. Thanks for logging on here to our long-range video update. Got a lot to talk to you about tonight, folks. Before we get there, tonight, I should say, our video update is sponsored by Metal Magic in Washington. You can give Chad a call, 698-8555 for all of your paintless dent repair needs. And of course, tell them Southern Indiana Weather sent you. They're PDR Nation certified. They do a fantastic job, so make sure you give them a call for any hail damage that you end up having. Or shopping cart dings. You never know. Those things end up happening. Here's take a look at satellite and current radar out there. And of course, we don't have that much activity as far as clouds go out there. It's turned out to be pretty much a mostly sunny day, just as I forecast. Temperatures went to the upper 80s across the area today, and we're starting to cool down just a little bit now. But we got some rain developing out to our west. The question is, how intense does that get, and does it reach us here tomorrow? We do have some isolated storm chances beginning in the forecast tomorrow. Let's take a look at our weather map, and you'll get an idea of why we're going to be entering into this unsettled pattern over the next few days. Here's where our map is for basically right now, and you can see we've got a low pressure up here in Iowa. We got a cold front. Watch as this moves our direction over the coming time. Here's what it should be by 2 a.m. and then of course here is by tomorrow morning. The cold front is just getting into northern Indiana, but by tomorrow afternoon inching its way closer, so that by tomorrow evening that cold front is right over us. I do believe that we'll see a 20% chance of some more isolated type of storms tomorrow. Nothing major to end up writing home about by any means, but that chance will also continue on into on the day on Wednesday, I should say. And then by Thursday, it looks like we could have a potential deluge coming our way. By Thursday, that front is to our south, but what you notice here is you've got a low pressure that's out to our way that's going to push the front back our way throughout the day. The question is exactly how far close to us does this low get. If the low tracks here the way the Weather Prediction Center is saying that it would keep the heavier rains more to our south, but some of the models are wanting to take it a little bit further to the north, which would be more of my favored path, and I'll talk about that why here in just a second. Let me go through the Canadian model with you tonight, folks, to talk about the rain and sort of time things out. Models have been all over the place with our rain chances for this week, so I'm not going to go through each and every one of them. I'll spare you all of the gory details. But bottom line is the GFS and the Euro, neither one have showed the consistency for me to put much faith at all in their forecasting abilities this week. You'll see a heavy rain swath that will go through our area in one version of the GFS. 6 hours later, when the next run is processed, it goes to northern Indiana, and the next run is going to go down into the Tennessee Valley, and it keeps on rotating back and forth as to who gets the heavy rain. And really the same way with the Euro. The Euro is usually a very reliable model, but it's not shown much consistency from run to run either in this. So I haven't thrown them completely out of my forecast, but certainly the fact that they aren't being as reliable with a particular setup does give me some troublesome worries there. Now, the one thing that has been consistent has been the gem. It's been remarkably consistent. This is the Canadian model, and so I'll show you this, and just to give you an idea, I think it's got the best handle on the situation. So we'll go through this. Here we are tonight. We don't see anything around here. By the time you go into the day tomorrow, we might just have some isolated stuff entering the area, but excuse me, but nothing overly impressive tomorrow. I've only given it a 20% chance of precipitation tomorrow. It'll be isolated in fashion. Same way on Wednesday, we may end up having some isolated storm chances around the area on Wednesday, but nothing really to write home about. The big rains are going to come starting on Thursday and into Friday. Take a look at this. Here we go by the day on Thursday. You've got the deluge starting to head our way, and it starts during the afternoon into the evening hours on Thursday. So that by the time you get into Friday, here we are by 8 a.m. on Friday morning, you can see just a heavy blob of precipitation over us. And of course, you have this nice low pressure moved over here. And again, it all depends on where the track of this low pressure goes. If you believe the Weather Prediction Center and their forecast maps, taking the low down here obviously would make the heavier chunk of precipitation fall down here. But the gem has been remarkably consistent in keeping this low pressure tracking very close to us over time, and so that gives me some makes me rely on it a little bit more that we may end up having a pretty heavy rain event out of this. And that really lasts, as you can see, here we are into 2 p.m. We've still got the heavy rain around on Friday. Even by Friday night at 8 p.m. it's still around. By Saturday even, we've still got the isolated chances of some things around before it starts to move out. So we could end up having a deluge out of this. In fact, if we take a look at total precipitation as far as to what you could expect, latest run of the Canadian, really, just take a look at this. You can see the color bar here on the side. I apologize if my screen down here is covering that up in any way, but these first sort of yellow shadings that you're starting to see right here start the inch, and by the time you get into some of these brighter colors, you're talking maybe 2, even upwards of 3 or 4 inches of rain. And really, this model run would give about 2 to 4 inches area-wide precipitation for us, which could be much needed across the area. Now, let me take you back in time onto some different model runs and show you exactly what I mean by its consistency. If I were to show you the GFS, what you would see on the GFS is that you'd have the precipitation here, and then up here, and then up here, in the same way with the Euro, just going back and forth. But let's step back in time to one run before this, and you can see there it is, still some heavy precipitation. Strongest core of the precipitation does go a little bit more north of us in there, but you can still see very heavy precipitation, a good 1 to 2 inch rather than a 2 to 4 inch, so the precipitation is still pretty heavy. Run before that, again, 2 to 4 inches area wide, and the run before that, this one did have the precipitation a little bit further to the south, but again, the bullseye right over southern Indiana. And really, the past 4 runs of the Canadian model have been honing in on this low pressure tracking very close to us and giving us some very heavy rains. And so, you know, really a good 1 or 2 inch soaking could definitely be in play with this, and I would not rule out even a 3 or 4 inch soaking for some of us over parts of this. By the way, if I were to show you the high resolution NAM, it's catching on to this idea. The high resolution NAM does not see that far out in time. It's only a 60-hour model, so that only takes us to Thursday at 2 a.m. Eastern time, but you can see here's the heavy precipitation. If we were to extend that swath further in here, you could see very easily, if we were to extend that model further in time, you can see the trajectory that heavier precipitation trend seems to be taking. So that's lining up very well with the Canadian. Just for fun, I'll show you the GFS and just show you that the GFS tracks the low pressure further to our south, takes the heavier rain, and also doesn't give that much rain overall with it. And even, you know, an inch or so down here, and really doesn't give much more than a half inch at best around our area. Some people not getting much at all. So, and the GFS again has been completely inconsistent, so I've pretty much thrown the GFS's idea out. Canadian does seem to have the best handle on it of taking that heavier swath of precipitation with this low pressure pretty much right up into our area. So that's what I've relied on pretty heavily for our forecast. Now, also, just to show you this, this is what the Weather Prediction Center from the National Weather Service is saying, and they're actually saying that they could see some pretty heavy precipitation with this as well. They're saying some 3-inch precipitation pockets are not out of the question with this. For our area, they're saying sort of a 1 to 2 inches. Probably hard to see here, but southern Indiana is right here, and really it takes us anywhere from this first blue shades to a half inch, and that's very tight gradient, as you can see from that, and it takes us, by the time you get into the purple shades down here, of at least 2 inches plus down here. So this is a good 1 to 2 inch soaking rain, they're saying, for southern Indiana as well. They take the heavier core down here, which is what the European model has done over its past most recent run. My opinion on this is I think they're a little too far to the southwest on this. I think we end up with that heaviest core. I'm not sure why they're relying on the Euro model there over the Canadian. I prefer consistency. The Euro model usually is the most reliable model that we have on forecasting. I fully agree with that assessment. However, the bottom line is it's been all over the place, so I haven't put much faith in it this round. And even though the GEM is an imperfect model for a lot of reasons that I won't bore you with, it has shown consistency, and by fact of showing consistency, seems to have a better handle on the pattern because of that consistency. So I think that we've got a good shot at some decent soaking rains over the coming day. Really quickly, before we go to the forecast, let's time this out on future radar. The high-res NAM, as I said, is catching on to this idea, very similar to what the Canadian model, the GEM, is showing. And so I can show you at least out to 60 hours on the future radar. Here we go tonight. I want you to notice as we go back here on the rain, you can see these storms starting to form out to our west. And again, there's not a whole lot in coverage yet, but we'll watch to see whether those blow up or not. Watch how they blow up to our west here on the high-res NAM. And then it moves it towards our area. It sort of fizzles it out a whole lot before it gets here, but it does leave some isolated rain chances throughout the day on Tuesday for us. Just some very spotty showers type of things. We'll see whether this holds together or anything comes by early morning. Wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit in the area by morning time. if this rain does develop and hold together. But we'll have to see. It's certainly not a guarantee by this point. But tomorrow will feature an isolated chance according to the high resolution NAM. Again, another isolated chance comes in early in the day on Wednesday. The better chances of rain stay to our north there, more in central Indiana. But then watch this, the big deluge with the low pressure starting to near us. And by the time the model ends here at 2 a.m. on Thursday, you can see that deluge just starting to come in. And just based on the trajectory of everything that this model is showing, I think in future runs that you're going to see the consistency of this model line up pretty well with the gem, or at least that's the hope, and see a pretty good swath of rain over us both on Thursday and Friday from the way things are looking right now. So it looks like we could have a soaker, and of course that'll hold temperatures down as well. All right, folks, let's go to southernindianaweather.com and let's talk about your updated 7-day forecast. Again, I don't have tonight down here, but we're going down to about 63 under mostly clear skies early tonight. I think we'll see a few clouds by daybreak come in off, especially off of that rain and sort of to blow off from those clouds to our west. Moving in, more of a partly cloudy sky tomorrow, an isolated thunderstorm possible. It'll be warm tomorrow. We're going to a high of around 87 degrees. I had it at 90 yesterday. I backed off on that. I think the models have been overdoing it on their temperatures a little bit. So even though both the Euro and the GFS are suggesting that we could hit 90 tomorrow, I don't think we will. They've been a little bit off. I've trusted more in the Canadian model, which says upper 80s, and I've leaned heavily on that for this forecast package. I think 87 is where we're going to end up tomorrow. Muggy night, by the way, coming in. The humidity will return, and we only go down to 66 Tuesday night. Then the rain chances really begin by Thursday. Again, isolated chances on Wednesday, mid-80s for your high. But look at this, some pleasant temperatures really Thursday and Friday, but mostly cloudy skies. I think the rain will keep our temperatures down. Some of us could actually use a pretty good soaking rain out of this too, because even though on Saturday some of us, a handful of counties, ended up with some decent rain, most of us didn't, and so we could end up using we could use that 1 to 2 inches area wide. 80 degrees on both Thursday and Friday with falling temperatures overnight into the mid-60s the way things look. Giving it a 50% chance of rain Thursday, a 60% chance of rain on Friday. Again, it does look like, I would not be surprised to see 1 to 2 inches area wide, and even beyond that, I think 2 to 4 inches are certainly in play. It's very much in question at this point, but I think it's in play, and we'll monitor that over the coming days. Just know that we've got some rain in the forecast. Even on Saturday, some scattered thunderstorms that should end during the afternoon hours as we only go up to the mid-80s. A bit warmer on Sunday, but no rain chances at least. And then by the time Monday comes around, we've got another chance of rain as yet another system moves in and holds us down to the low 80s. Our normal high temperature this time of the year, by the way, is 88. So as you can see, we are going to stay below normal every day. Tomorrow is really the only day that we end up coming pretty close to normal for this time of the year, and certainly below normal. By the way, this pattern looks like it's going to continue. We have yet another typhoon that is poised to strike Japan, and of course, whenever typhoons strike Japan, and we've talked about this before, when they recurve, and those typhoons go out over the open water and head towards Alaska, that just sort of jacks up the jet stream and messes it all up. That's where we end up with our cool snaps coming back in again. That's the past 2 dives that we've seen in the jet stream have been results of typhoons that have recurved past Japan, and that's exactly what we're going to see. So expect mid-month another potentially big cool down, something that we're going to have to monitor yet. Right now we can see the typhoon, and the models see the typhoon recurving, but they don't see the cool down yet. I think they'll catch on eventually. The Canadian gem is already hinting at the idea of a cool down. The GFS and the Euro really haven't fully caught on to that idea yet. I think over the coming week they'll catch on to that idea more fully, but we'll see. But I think, again, by the time anywhere from the 14th to say the 18th, somewhere in that time frame, I think we're looking at probably a day or two of pretty warm temperatures before a big cool down. 70s could be in play again, so we'll see whether that pans out. All right, folks, that is it for this video update. That's your long range of what to expect for this week and even beyond that. Have another one of these for you down the line. For Southern Indiana weather, I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite. Have a great night, folks. Stay safe and take care.